you can get our Hi everyone, Chelsea Studio here, and today we're looking at how to make your own art prints from home. Hi everyone, welcome back to the studio. So today I am showing you guys how I make my art prints from home. I'm going to show you how I scan them and the settings that I use. I'll show you how I get rid of little imperfections and dust particles that you can get in your scans. I'll also be showing you how I size them and how I print them to get the best quality possible. So let's jump into it. Okay, so I'm having to actually film my computer screen because my screen capture program apparently doesn't like to film pop-ups. So we're gonna go ahead and just do it this way. So sorry if the video is not the best quality. So I am in my Windows Fax and Scan program. What I'm going to do is click New Scan. I've already put the artwork on the scanning bed of my printer. So New Scan. Alright, and then this pops up and it's set up to my printer. And what I'm going to do is set this to 600. 300 is your minimum DPI. For high quality prints. I like to double it because I do mess with the sizes of my prints, so I like to adjust that to 600 just to accommodate the size fluctuations. And then I'm going to set the contrast to 20, leave the brightness alone, and I'm going to click Scan. And there it is done. You can see it looks really good. There are some spots that were just on the flatbed of the scanner and it is just a little bit sideways, but we are going to fix that in the editing program. So let's go ahead and go over to the editing program. So this is my scanned documents folder. I have that image there. This is what it looks like right now. So it's got the entire flatbed on it and I don't want that, right? So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to right click and I'm gonna go down to Open with ParthaGimp Standard Build. The editor that I use is GIMP. It is a free photo manipulation program and it has a lot of the same features as Photoshop. Obviously not as high quality, but it is free. So I have that linked down in the description box for you guys. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to crop this image. So I have the crop tool that was over here, and so I have just clicked and dragged to make it the size just about of the image because I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard and then I'm going to zoom in, Control-Shift-J, and then I'm actually going to zoom out just a little bit. That's the dash button on your keyboard, or there's a magnifying glass tool over here you can use. I prefer keyboard shortcuts, but so we can see that this line is actually diagonal, and so we don't want that. We need to rotate this image a little bit. So I have the scale tool over here, but it's a group. So I'm gonna click and hold down and then go to the rotate, or you can use the keyboard shortcut Shift R. And then you will just click the image and drag down until you think that it is pretty level. You could also use a guide to do this if you don't trust your eyes. But I've done this enough that I trust my eyes. And then you hit enter. It will rotate the image for you. It's not perfect, but that looks a lot straighter than it was before. So now I'm gonna get that crop tool again, and this time I'm gonna go within the borders of the image and just making sure that all the corners are within the image itself. This one looks like it might be a little bit further out. And then I will hit enter. So if you're in GIMP and for some reason this isn't working, You might have this current layer only thing selected. If I was working in multiple layers, I would have that on, but because I want the entire image cropped, that's why I have that off. The next thing that I usually do is I will check to see if there are any, dust particles that have gotten on the scanner. So from this far back, it doesn't look like it, but I'm gonna hit Shift plus on my keyboard and just zoom in a little bit. Then I'll use this box over here and I will just drag. You see this box if you have this little arrow up here selected, and I'll just drag the box around. So see right here, I'm gonna zoom in on that. It looks like there's a little black spot that I don't want there. So I'm gonna take this Band-Aid tool, click it, and you can see the circle around it is really, really big. So I can change the size over here. So now it is much smaller. And then you have to hold down Control on your keyboard, click an area that you want to copy, and then you can release Control and just click that dot once. And you can see it almost covered everything, and I'm going to click it one more time. And it has copied the texture and merged it with this spot to make it disappear without having you not be able to see your correct texture. There's a dot over here as well, right there. So I'm going to zoom in again with my Shift plus. I think I'm going to make this smaller, but I want it to be more precise of a size. So I'm going to use the bracket, the left bracket on my keyboard. That will make it smaller. And then I'm going to click within this white area, my Control click. That's where it's sampling the colors from and the texture from. And then I'll just go over the dot and click again. And then click one more time, just until I feel that it has disappeared. Now I'm going to zoom out just a little bit with the dash on the keyboard so that I can check for more spots. And then you're just going to do that throughout the entire piece. You could get rid of the anything that goes out of the lines if you want to. I like to leave it. I think it looks more authentic if you leave it. And I think I have everything pretty much where I want it to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and Control Shift J to have it fit to screen. So now I'm going to save this, and to save it, you go to File and you go Export As. If you hit save, it's gonna save as a GIMP file that you can continue to edit. So to make it a JPEG or a PNG, you need to export as. And it's saying that it's going into documents and scan documents. I'm okay with that because I want to overwrite the original file and I can rename it later. If you want to skip the renaming it later step and just delete this file, you can put it wherever you want and rename it to whatever you want. So if you want to rename it, this is a good way to do it. If you don't want to rename it like me, you just want to overwrite the other one, you can just click overwrite. But either way, you'll get this pop-up. I usually keep everything over here the same, but I bump this up to 100 if I'm going to use it for a print. If I'm not going to use it for a print, then I will bump it down to 50 because it makes it a smaller file, that's still pretty good quality. But for printing, for selling my prints and stuff, I definitely like to keep it at 100% quality. So then I'll export, and you can see that bottom there, it did that for me. And so now that's all there, so I should be able to go back to my little folder where I was, and you can see that it is no longer a scanned image that has that white around it. It is my edited image. So the next thing that I like to do for these images is I like to size them, right? Because you want to have multiple sizes of each image, or at least I do. I know several artists size them just for one size. Some people only have 8x10, some people only have 11x14 or 11x17. I like having 3. I like having 5x7s, 8x10s, and 11x14s. So I'm going to start by sizing this down to a 5x7. So I'm up here at image and I'm gonna go to scale image. Do not do layer because that will just show you the background. Make sure it's image. Image, scale image. And now you can see your resolution is 600 pixels per inch. So in the scanning thing, it looked like dots per inch. They're the same thing. It's just how much ink is gonna go within any 1 square inch. So I'm actually gonna change this to inches over here so I can see. And it is a little bit smaller than a 5x7. So I'm gonna go ahead and up the width to 5. And since they're linked, you'll see that it goes to 7. And it is a little more than 7, that's okay. I'm gonna scale, I'm gonna allow it to be a bigger file. And it just barely adjusted, right? Because it wasn't too far off. Now what I'm gonna do to make it a true 5x7 is just take my crop tool and just select the entire thing. And now over here on the left where it says size in the crop menu, you'll go down to inches so you can see the exact size. And I'm just gonna change this one to just 7 and then hit enter. And what it does is down here, it has shrunk the height of my crop box. So you can then move the box to fit however you want it to. I'm just gonna try and divide it, just kind of eyeball it in half. And then I'll click enter. And now the size is 5x7. So then I can export this, export as, I put this in a different folder, but for the sake of today, I'll just put it here, 5x7, call it Dragon Mermaid. Keep it as a JPEG and export. Again, that will pop up, export. For this printer, whenever I get ready to print, it has, all of these, options on it and stuff. So I'm gonna just reload this photo paper and this will pop up and it'll ask me, did you load plain paper? I'm gonna say no, because I didn't. Select the plain paper and I'll hit photo paper. So you want your computer and your printer to both say photo paper. So now to print this, I'm gonna go to my 5x7. I'm gonna right click it and I'm gonna go to print. So my computer pops up this window and I'm going to select 5x7 because that's the size I want. Since we changed the size of it, it doesn't matter if this is selected or not, it's not gonna change anything. And then we've got my printer selected, the size of the paper, and then the quality is at best. A lot of printers are at normal. You don't want that. You want your quality to be best. And then I have photo paper selected here, just like I have photo paper selected on my printer. And then we're just gonna click print. I like to order and outsource my 11x14s because this printer's capacity is only 8.5 by 11. But I do print all my 8x10s through this printer and my 5x7s through this printer. And there it is. And I'm trying not to touch it. It'll take 1 to 2 minutes for it to fully dry. There it is. It looks pretty great, right? And I'll link the photo paper that I'm using in the description box below as well. So look how bright the colors are. The print quality is amazing. Just making sure that you have the settings on best and everything definitely makes a difference. And then I'll just use my paper cutter and cut this out. You can get 2 5x7s on one sheet of 8.5 by 11 and then one 8x10. This one is the original and this is the print. So you can see a slight color differences. There's brightness differences. It picks up a lot of the magenta and it's not nearly as dark. All of that I could have color corrected in the image program, but I felt like the scan was nice enough that I didn't necessarily want to for this one. So if you'd like to see a video on how I color correct, just let me know in the comments below. Even though the colors aren't perfect, I am really, really excited with how this print came out. Wow, Kellogg's. I still love how this print came out and I am very, very excited to be able to put these in my shop. you can see that the process is really simple. You can get archival papers as well as archival inks to put in your printer, or you can outsource them like I do for my 11x14 since my printer is just a little bit too small. So it just depends on what you're wanting to do. The higher quality prints that you make, the more you can actually charge for them. So if you're interested in learning the differences between different printing techniques and printing types, let me know in the comments below and maybe I can do that in a future video. If you would like to see this artwork or any of the other artwork that I have in my store, you can check out all my social medias as well as my online shop to pick up something cool for yourself. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day and I will see you next week. Bye!